How's it going, everybody? What's happening, Noah? So I tried getting Jay on tonight. He is tied up. We're gonna have Jay Siemens on the first week of May, on that Tuesday. So it'll be pretty cool to have him on. We're gonna talk his catch and cook, and kind of fill you in on who's going to be carrying the product, where it's going to be at, and where you guys can pick some up. We've got a bunch of dealers that are going to be getting some product in here. Oh, probably right around that first week of May, by the time it gets to some distributors and such. It'll probably be right around that time period. So pretty excited to launch that stuff. I know I've got a bag of it ready to go. We're going to be cooking some fish up here this week. So, yeah, well, looks like Mother Nature is going to give us a swing. And you can blame me because I think we're going on like 12 straight years now where I've had snow either on or around the week of my birthday. My birthday is, Friday, I think, the 21st. I don't even know. It's just another day, right? Yep, on Friday. So it looks like we're going to get some more crap weather in here. I think tomorrow, and then a bunch of rain and wind and everything else going into the weekend. But I think Friday is actually supposed to be pretty nice. I do have some guys who are going to take out fishing, and hopefully we can whale on the white bass that are up in the rivers. And get a few walleyes, and it's kind of a mix of everything. I think because everything happens so fast. We were up on the bay here this past weekend, and we had an absolute slaughter fest up in Oconto. Not a whole lot happening at night up in the Fox and De Pere. There were a few fish around, but compared to what it was just a few days earlier, a lot of fish had moved out. We weren't marketing them. We were up in the sand flats. We were up by the dam over on the clam beds, and there were a few fish around, a lot of white fish. But as far as walleyes go, it really just kind of stopped, or I don't want to say stop, but really slowed down. And when we were up in Oconto, we seen something that was pretty interesting. We were fishing at the mouth of the river for a while, and we even went up in the river after lunch and caught a bunch too. But we had a bunch of fish that were coming down, and these big, giant 28, 29-inch females, bellies up in the air, half alive. I think they just got stressed out with how warm that water got. And it was crazy. I mean, all these big, giant fish just floating around. It's not that they weren't being caught. They were just, floating down the river, and we would try and, pick some up and revive them. And as soon as you get them to swim away, they'd swim away a little bit, and then whoop, they'd float right back up to the surface again. And, the seagulls were coming and pecking their gills and their eyeballs. It was really, really sad to see. So I just think it got too warm too quick, and, stressed these fish out. We had water temperatures, in almost 60 degrees in some spots. We were finding really warm pockets of water. And of course, that's where the fish were at. When we were driving around looking with the 360, we'd find the pockets up in that, 4 to 6 feet of water up along the shorelines, in between Oconto and Peshtigo. Basically that whole shoreline was loaded with fish. And then also when we went up to the south, or went down to the south too, towards Pensaki, there was some nice fish, down on that point down there too. So guys are looking to get out. A lot of fish dumped out into the bay, and they've been a lot of fun to catch. We casted some rip and wraps, but we've got most of our fish cast in Northland thumper jigs with a any type of swim bait. We were using some walleye assassin stuff. We were using some Z-Man stuff, and it didn't really seem to matter. I think they were just liking that soft plastic more than they were those hard rip and wrap bait. So if you're gonna get out, check, just try that. Nice thing with that stuff too is you can fish it a little bit slower. You can drag it along the bottom, or you can really rip them. We were getting them with just kind of some nice steady sweeps, and they were crushing it pretty good. Tomorrow, you guys are going to see a picture. The first fish we got was like a 31. She was a giant, all spawned out. Hit a swim bait, just absolutely crushed it, and it was fun because I had one of the main guys from one of my buyers from down in Iowa came up and fished with us, and he's never seen a fish over 30, and it sucked that I got it, but it was still good to have him net it. So teamwork on that side of things. It was fun to see. Great memories were made, and that's what it's about. When you get a big fish like that in a boat, everybody's excited, everybody's happy for everybody, and we got a chance to watch her swim away too. So that was awesome. But we caught a pile of 26 and a half to 27 and a half. They were like cookie cutters. For a while there, it seemed like there was every cast we'd have one on, and just a lot of fun to go and do that for a day, and come back here and go catch 15, 16 inches on the Wolf. Just isn't the same. But what's happening on the Wolf? So the Wolf and the Fox, kind of the same thing, guys. It really warmed up last week. We were hitting water temperatures in the low 60s, 60, 61, and the water was just smoking through the trees, and most of the fish, we had a pot of fish that was north up by Goose, and it was really interesting to watch on a day-to-day basis on how fast those fish moved down through the system. One day it was up by Goose, we got them. The next day we were down by Wylands. The next day it was, at the rock wall in Fremont. And, it just, those fish, big pot of fish, just kept moving all the way out down towards Poygan. So, and, I know a lot of guys are getting a lot of fish out in Poygan. Guys are getting fish out on Winnebago. They are really scattered throughout the system. There's really no major concentration of fish right now that I know of. They are just spread out everywhere. The white bass really came up hot and heavy this past weekend through Oshkosh and Winneconne. Guys are getting a lot of fish going through Amaro right now. The shorelines are just packed full of people. Everybody's filling buckets. So the white bass are really early as well. Bluegills and crappies and panfish have really, moved into the channels. So everything is, we're probably a good, I'd say at least 3 weeks early on a lot of these fish, but now we're going to get some cold weather and, kind of hopefully slow things down a little bit. We're not going to really have much of a spring fish run. It's just going to be going right from winter to summer. But I feel sorry for the guys on the rafts too, because it's going to be a pretty short-lived season. But you're always going to have the fish that are going to stay up in the river. When the water's this high, those fish will, hang around for quite a while. They've got everything they need. They've got food, frogs, bugs, worms, everything in the trees. They've got current if they want it. They've got, warm water. So there's a lot of places up in Shiocton, New London that, right before evening, if you've never done it before, find some trees on long straightaways or on the inside corners. If there's some trees and stuff, if you got side imaging, you'll see the fish stacked up in those shallow waters. And cast, flicker shads, cast little crankbaits and stuff up in those trees, and just let your boat go down and cast and retrieve. And you'd be surprised at how many fish you're going to catch doing that. Even, different spoons or swim baits or anything up into the trees. That's where a lot of those fish will hang. And now that we're going to get some cold weather again, what'll happen is, some fish will go deep, and then any sun that you do get, they're going to want to go up and find whatever warm water they can. And, any good sunny days, just go to use your side imaging and see what you see up in the shallow waters. And good chance you're probably going to, catch a bunch more fish up in the shallows than you will deeper here. As far as out here on the small lakes, obviously all the ice has been gone. The fish are kind of, I think, in the same boat as everywhere else. They're really confused. Like seeing typically right after ice out on these lakes, all the crappies and bluegills, you just go out over the deep basins, and the fish will be, just kind of all schooled up and roaming around over the deep basins, and already seeing fish kind of move up towards some shallow water. So pretty interesting. Not sure what to think about that. And I know a lot of the guys around here are getting a lot of nice bluegills and stuff, fishing just outside of the deeper weed edges. So it got a lot of stuff going on. The fishing is really good. It's just Mother Nature doesn't want to cooperate and let us get out and fish. The wind has been howling. We've got rain and thunderstorms and sleet and all kinds of crap coming here the next couple of days. And the good thing is I got my taxes done today, so that's a huge relief. And most of the sales stuff is wrapped up. So now it'll be cleanup mode and back to the boat and shooting quite a bit of video. I've got a lot of stuff lined up for some techniques and stuff like that I want to get done and get that to you guys. You'll see the next Angling Buzz report is got a lot of nice video and some nice fish from this past weekend up in O'Connell, and showing you some of the baits that we were using. But again, thumper jigs, I'm using a 3/8 ounce Northland thumper jig. If you've never seen the thumper jigs, it's a little just a jig with a small underspin. It's got that little blade on the bottom. I think that really helps, especially in the current, in the rivers too, when we're dragging crawlers. We started doing that. I always tell people, once that water temperature hits 50 degrees, get rid of those minnows and switch to crawlers. And it's been pretty good. Hey Dave, hey. Good. You should have said hi. Yeah, we really love the boat. She's a fish catching machine. It's been handling the water pretty nice, and I finally got past break-in now, so now we can open her up and play a little bit with some props and see what we can do. But loving the nitro. Where's the clean water? So Jordan, where are you looking? For the most part, everything has been fairly clean. Up in the bay, I was surprised on how clean that water was, even with the winds that we've had. We found some pockets with some really warm water, and the water was gin clear. So it's good when you find that, especially when you're fishing in that really shallow water. Being able to cast a long ways is very, very important. Most of our fish that we got came on areas, where came when we were casting as far as we possibly could. It seemed like within the first pop or two is when we would get our bites. As soon as we got closer to the boat, didn't seem like we really did as well. And that being said, I talk about it a lot, but this stuff right here is the reason why we're able to cast so far. We're running this 10-pound Seaguar Smackdown. This is a new package this year. It comes in 300 yards. Before it was always 150. But if you've never used this stuff, you can cast a 16th ounce jig darn near as far as you can throw a 3/4 ounce bell sinker. This stuff casts super, super nice. So that is very important when you are fishing clear water like that, is to be able to cast as far as you possibly can. And when we were watching the fish on the 360, we could tell, as we're motoring around, kind of finding these pods of fish and finding some warm water, everything was always out in front of us. I could never really see anything close to the boat. They were seeing the boat, again, it was bright blue sunny days too. So, that doesn't help. But it's definitely a key when you're casting shallow water, for those big walleyes, is they're picking you out, they're seeing you, and you got to be able to cast as far as you possibly can. A couple of questions here. Where's the clean water Winneconne area? The Winnebago system is pretty dirty yet, out on the lakes. The rivers have been pretty good. They're really starting to clean up, but, now we're going to get some rain and stuff like that again here the next couple of days. So I'm sure it'll get a little bit dirty, but, you got to drive around. The lakes have been fairly dirty just because of all the wind and runoff yet. Water's super, super high. Glenn asks, what do you make of the number of walleyes still going upriver on the Wolf River cam? So, Glenn, I've been watching a little bit. I don't think they're necessarily going up as much as they're just hanging around. I think the fish are just going back and forth and kind of swimming around. I don't think they don't have any reason to leave, right? They've got food, they've got warm water, they've got, plenty of current. They've got everything they need. So there's no reason for those fish to head back down right now. They can go anywhere they want to, and they can go find calm water. They can find current. They've got food. Like I said, they don't have any reason to leave. So the fish that I've been seeing, I mean, obviously I can't tell for a fact or know for sure that that's what they're doing, but I just know from fishing over the years when we have water years like what we've got right now, is those fish will hang around until that water starts to come down, before they start to leave. And, they spawn so quick that, and I don't doubt it that there's probably still some pre-spawners out there. But I don't know how that works. It'd be a good question for some biologist guys. If, with the water being as warm as what it is, if those eggs are even any good, or, if they'll hatch when it's like this. So, that'd be an interesting question. I'll see if I can find some answers on that. But I honestly think there's just fish swimming up there right now because they don't have to leave. So we'll see. But yeah, awesome. That's awesome, man. That stuff is, people just don't understand until they try it. I had some guys in the boat that they've seen me use it. They've never had a really chance to use it themselves. And, once they started casting small jigs, they were just overly impressed with this stuff. It is super thin, it's super smooth, and very, very strong. That's probably the biggest thing, is how strong that stuff is for how thin it is. Dylan asks, can you elaborate on the Carolina rigs you talk about? I tried them with an 1/8 ounce egg sinker like previous talked about, above a barrel swivel, and from the swivel down to a number 4 red hook with a crawler, a styrofoam bead, and I didn't get a bite. Switched to dragging jigs and got them right away, but I'm curious about your Carolina rig method. So Dylan, every day is different. I have those days too where I can't catch them on a Carolina rig, but I'll catch them on a jig. The biggest thing that I'm going to tell you right there is you had a styrofoam bead, and that what that did is that kept that crawler up. There's some days that those fish are so down in the mud, or so far down on the bottom. When you're dragging, a lot of times when you're dragging, right? Let me draw a picture here. All right, so you can see this, right? That's kind of what the river bottom looks like. You get those current seams. That current's flowing this way, and your boat's going this way. So you're dragging your jigs across the bottom, and if you have something that floats, it's not going to get down in this hole. As this current goes through, it creates an eddy right here, and then the flow will go over the top, and it'll create an eddy. So when you look at your side imaging, these fish will sit right on the bottoms of these crevices, right? And when you're dragging your baits with a jig, right, it's going to get down into those holes and it'll sit there and cycle. But if you got a float, and that's getting pulled over the top, a lot of times those fish won't see that. So there are sometimes where I'll use a float, and other times it's just a bare hook with a bead. I don't a lot of times use use a float when it's early, not until we get a little bit later in the season, and then once we switch to leeches too. I like to use I'll put a floating bead or something like that. But for the most part, if I had to say, probably 80% of the time I don't have any floats, just a colored bead on top of or above my hook. And even at that point too, sometimes I don't even run a bead. It'll just be just a plain number hook, or a number, like a number 2 or number 4, small, just a gold or a red hook. and longer leads. Usually typically like a 3-foot lead behind the barrel swivel, and then the egg sinker up above the barrel swivel. So you've got it right on, and we tried dragging here the last time I was out, and I got a couple on Carolina rigs, but most of the fish we did get came on 16th ounce thumper jigs with a half a crawler. So you got to switch it up. You got to try it, see what works, and once you figure out something, stick to it. But right now, like down through Winnebago, by the gun club, and down by Oshkosh, and up in Fremont, right through town there. When you get those big long flats, or those big long areas where you got those crevices, Carolina rigs work the best in those situations, and should be good. But I know some guys are starting to get some fish out on the lake slip bobbering. I see, Travis, are you sticking with just the 10-pound line? So here's the thing, 10-pound line, the reason we use 10-pound right now in the rivers is because of how thin it is, and the less, you don't want drag. You don't want, if we're doing some vertical jigging, or if we're, fishing Carolina rigs, I want this stuff to cut the water as best I can, and not have not have that big bow in your line or have any drag. So the reason we use the 10-pound in the spring like this is because it's so extremely thin. We don't have to worry about that drag or that resistance. Once I get out into the lake and I'm casting ripping wraps, or when we were up on the bay, casting ripping wraps and big heavy swim baits and stuff like that, then I either go to a 15 or a 20-pound, and then same thing with the Smackdown, pair it with the gold label. For the most part, if I'm really finesse fishing, I'll go down to like an 8 or a 10. The diameter of 10-pound gold label is probably equivalent to more of a 6-pound in a normal fluorocarbon or a normal leader. So your weight to diameter ratio is extremely small. So with like 15-pound here, we've got 0.011. So at that, you're probably looking at about a 10-pound diameter with, most of the other stuff that's out there. Really, really good stuff. Again, they moved this to 50-pound or 50 yards too. I was really excited for that, because, when you start using this stuff, especially with clients, we end up losing a lot of leaders in line, and it's just nice to have that extra 25 yards and not have to worry about, switching spools net a whole bunch. But when it's dirty out, if we got super dirty water and we're casting hair jigs, like up in the river in De Pere when it was cloudy, I'll tie the hair jigs and stuff right to the 10-pound Smackdown. I won't even put a leader on. Really no need to. Those fish don't have a chance to see what's going on when it water's dirty. You're just wanting to be able to feel everything, and that's kind of the deal. And if you get snagged up too, like I say, with how strong this stuff is, you can usually straighten out a hook and not have to worry about breaking off all the time. So that's I guess that's the little the line tip for tonight. As far as what's going to happen here over the next couple of weeks or the next week or so, yep, I was just going to say the flies are starting. We did get some fish pulling flies, and you're getting, again, the water being super dirty, it's cleaning up, it's clearing up, it's only going to get better. Excuse me. But with all the fish dumping out by the mouth, and the mouth of the Wolf River, and then down in Oshkosh too, there's all kinds of fish that are coming down there through there. You're going to see a lot of guys start to pull flies and do real well. And then, the white bass, everybody's doing that for the white bass, either casting fly rigs or pulling flies. What size are you typically tying your fly rigs with? Everything I do on my fly rigs is 15-pound. So what I typically do, because, typically what gets snagged is a sinker. So I'll run a main line, will be my braid for my reels, and I'll go to a 3-way. And then from the 3-way, I've got my long lead with my 3 flies on it. That'll be a 15-pound. And then I'll have my dropper rig with my sinker. And with that, I'll usually put like an 8 or a 10-pound, something a little bit thinner, so that if I do get something snagged on that, I can pull and break that off and not have to worry about losing all my flies. Just to kind of change it up a little bit. That's, seems to work pretty good for me. It's, again, personal preference, but that's kind of my deal. And there's no reason to waste or use the SmackDown, or I'm sorry, the gold label. I usually use either the Invisex or can't think here tonight. The Abrazex. I'm sorry. Most of my leaders for tying fly rigs is all the Abrazex stuff in a 15-pound. And that's what I'm working on here the next couple nights, is tying up a bunch of flies and making a few more hair jigs and getting ready to really give her hard here over the next couple of weeks. I've got a lot of guys looking to come up and whack on the white bass, and we're going to have a lot of fun with that. I'm super excited. These fish are huge this year, and it's going to be a lot of fun. To me, I love catching walleyes. Everybody does. Going up to Green Bay, the Fox, and getting those big fish out of the system. Granted, if I didn't live 2 hours away, I'd be up there pretty much every day. But what's happening, Jason? Hey, congrats on the tournament this weekend. Good job. But when you can go out and catch 3 fish at a time, and just battle these things in the current in the river, I'm sorry, but I don't think there's much more that we have around here that's as fun as whaling on those white bass. It's such a good time. And the thing of it is, guys, is they're so good to eat. Everybody says how bad they are, but if you get rid of that mud line and you get rid of all that red meat, I'd love to have you guys come over, because I'll cook a bunch of fish up and do a blind taste test, and I'm pretty certain you guys will pick out the white bass before the walleyes when you start eating them. So again, just my personal preference, and the fact that they're so prolific in the system, it'll be a lot of fun here the next couple of weeks. So if you're looking to get out, I know I had some openings this weekend that I believe now are all filled up. But over the next couple of weeks, probably all the way through Mother's Day, we'll be on those things and doing pretty good. If you got a chance to, if you go to Midwest Outdoors or look on my Facebook page, the video that we shot last year was posted, and kind of shows the rigs that on how I have it. But I also have my stuff. I'm sorry, I just haven't got to editing. I'll finish editing what I've been saying I was going to do here. And now that all my paperwork and computer stuff is for the most part done, I can get back to editing videos and putting out some more content for you guys. So I'm looking forward to that. I got a lot of things I want to show you guys and kind of talk about a little bit more in depth. And we've got some things lined up. So, and if there's anything else that you guys want to see, or want any tips, videos, anything like that, shoot me some ideas. I try and do what I think, but I'm just me. I don't know what a lot of guys are looking for, and there's so many different ways to fish around here, and I just kind of showing you guys what I do. But Jason could probably answer some questions here. Those guys did real well fishing the tournaments this last weekend. There were a bunch of tournaments. I think they had a Sheboygan Walleye Club on Sunday. They had the Fort Fremont. They had, I don't know, I can't keep track anymore, but I know it was a grind. There were a lot of zeros on Saturday for that Fort Fremont tournament. And it's, the fishing's been pretty crazy with the changing conditions and weather and all that. So, good job to the guys that found them, and congratulations again. What speed do you pull your flyer rigs for walleye? So, Mike, the biggest thing is, I don't want to say it's so much speed, is you have to kind of match the current. So when you're looking at, when you're pulling upriver, a lot of times, if we got a good strong current, we might be only doing 0.2, 0.3 miles an hour, because that current's so strong. And you got to match your weight to the current. And the biggest thing is you want, when you're pulling, and pulling your flies, you don't want your flies to sink. You want to make sure you got that steady, just a steady line, keep it straight. I try and keep my baits at about a 45, a little bit more than a 45-degree angle off the tip of my rod, and 3, 4 ounce weights a lot of times. And then when it's a little bit calmer, seems like up by Winnebago, we can get away with like a 1 or 2 ounce, for the most part, a 1 or 2 ounce, and then down in Oshkosh, we're typically 3 or 4. So, and again, the depth plays a big part in it too. When you're up a little bit shallower, you don't need to use as heavy as a weight. Again, because of the fact, going back to this, being able to have that less resistance. If a guy's, using 15-pound mono on a fly rod, and, you're using a 2 ounce weight, you're going to have a whole lot of line out there, because there's going to be so much resistance and drag on that monofilament that you're going to lose a lot of that. Whereas if you go to something like this and you can cut the water, you can get that bait pretty much straight below you and keep it at a 45, and you're just going to be able to catch more fish and feel a lot more on a setup like that. So, and the other thing too is I kind of make my own weights. A lot of people use the pencil weights. I like using, and you can even buy them this way too. I make all my own weights out of bottom bouncers. And the reason being is, with the wire, you got the wire that comes down to the bottom bouncer weight, and then a wire behind that. And what I'll do is I'll leave a little bit of wire underneath the weight, and I will bend that so it's kind of like I forget what they even call them, but it drags the bottom a lot nicer, and doesn't allow the weight to sink down into the bottom. That little piece of wire that comes off will bounce off the rocks a little more, and not allow me to get snagged up as much. So yeah, that's kind of my deal. And colors, everybody's got their own colors, but my favorites are the purple, red, black and red, like a pink lemonade, pink and chartreuse, a black and orange, a black and red. That's probably the most colors I use, but for the most part, everything, I'd say most of the colors I use is a pink and purple, or I'm sorry, a purple and red, or a pink and purple, with a bunch of flash marabou, or the flashaboo stuff. I will have something, I promise I'll have something here, probably by this weekend, showing the fly rigs exactly. So many people have been wanting to know how I tie these things up, and we got some video. I just got to finish editing it, and then we'll be good to go. And then when you go down river, Mike, again, there's no magic number as far as the speed. It's not like, you got to do 1.2 or whatever. It's all on current. There are some days where we will catch more fish going downriver pulling fly rigs. And the reason being, I think, is because when you're pulling upriver, right, that line is pretty well staying, straight, and it's going, and undulating, and those flies kind of puff out. And when you go downriver, those baits you're usually going quite a bit faster, because you're trying to keep up with the current too. And you got to be going fast enough that, that your lines and stuff just don't sink. But when you're really ripping going down current, I think what happens there is you get those, reaction bites versus, looking for a fish that might be hungry to eat the flies when you're going nice and slow upriver. When you're going downriver, you're getting something, those fish are just sitting there swimming by, going downriver. All of a sudden, this bait goes zinging by their face. They have no choice but to just swim up real fast and try and taste it. So there are those days where I think you catch more fish going downriver than you do going up. So, and then, Winneconne, you see it a lot of times. And then by 41 Bridge too, the guys that go, zigzag. And there again, I think it's just trying to, trigger these fish. If they're swimming down and something zings by their nose this way, it's going to, just trigger a bite, and you're going to get something to bite, just doing something different. So I know there was a lot of guys too this last week that they were really whaling on those big perch over in Winneconne. That was pretty interesting to see how many big perch were being caught in the river. I don't know if they really hung around. I didn't hear of a really good bite on the T-docks like there normally is in Oshkosh. I think maybe those fish just kept going right up towards Winneconne because the fish that they were getting up there were giants. But, thing with perch is, they're really short-lived with the spawn. They go in, and wherever they're at, they're usually in and out in just a couple days. So if you're not there at the right at the right moment, you're going to miss that bite for certain. Crappies, some friends of mine were in the channels getting crappies already, the bluegills again. And it's, the one thing that I was pretty amazed when I was up there here about a week or so ago was how many shiners are in the lake. It is unbelievable when you go into the channels around Oshkosh. If you had a dip net, you could, one scoop with a dip net, and you could, you could keep critters or any of these bait shops going for the whole rest of the season. There are that many shiners swimming around in those channels. So I'm a little afraid to see what's going to happen here once, everything gets back into the lakes. I think there's going to be a lot of bait fish to contend with this summer, and it's going to make fishing, pretty interesting, I think. But the flip side of that is I really haven't seen a whole lot of baits in the river up north like I thought we were going to. Some of those shiners are big. They're monsters. There were some 4 or 5 inches, some really, really good big shiners, and then you got some smaller ones too. So really interesting. It was crazy. Even with all those shiners swimming around, when we were in the channels, we were catching perch on fatheads versus shiners. So crazy times. You never know, I guess, what's happening. Patrick, limit out today. Tough bite, none on crawlers. Patrick, I'm assuming you're probably up there fishing Fremont. What are you seeing? Are you seeing males, females? Curious to see what's kind of coming back down through. I haven't been out here now for a couple of days, so I will be out here the next week, or rest of this week. So, yep. Good job, man. It's always good to see people succeed. That's awesome. All males. Yeah. So if the males are already starting to come back down, that's a good telltale sign that a lot of females pushed out already too. So, it's, wouldn't surprise me if you could go out right now out on Poigan and do some trolling back in Clark's Bay, up in Norwegian Bay, over on the west end in front of the creeks. I bet you would catch a bunch of fish right now, fishing those areas. With how many fish have already come down out of the system and out into the big water, I think you're going to start seeing a lot of fish a lot earlier than what we've ever seen come out into the lakes. Winnebago, I'd be slip bobbering at night or early in the mornings up on the points and out on all those rock reefs right outside the mouth of the river there. Let's see, caught a couple spawned out females Saturday, 16, 17 inches. Yep, spawned out. Yeah, I very highly doubt there's many fish that have any spawn left in them in the river. With water temperatures hitting 60, these fish are typically dumping their eggs, that 41, 42, at that point, and we're already up at 60. Anything that's theirs, there'll probably be a few females that'll end up absorbing their eggs. I don't know how that works, but it'll probably be rotten. I know a few guys up in the pier, up on the Fox, had some females that were full, and their eggs will just rotten. They're not going to do anything with them. So, yeah, it's crazy spring. I don't, I don't know. I hope this doesn't become a trend and we don't have to deal with this stuff every year because it's super frustrating. To be able to have a nice long spring run is kind of my favorite time of the year, and we're just not going to have it. Norwegian Bay Saturday is up to 65. Yeah, that's crazy. And 47 this morning, 50 this afternoon. So, yeah, I mean, even at that, man, that's super warm for this time of the year already. When you're up on the bay, or even Winnebago or Green Bay, anytime you find a river, whether it be even out in Detroit River too, any these walleyes, when they get done doing their thing, they come out into the lakes, and the first thing they look for is shallow, warm water. They need to, basically regenerate and revive themselves. And they come out and they just want to relax and, find an easy meal if they can. But that's where they go. So don't be afraid to go super shallow. The fish we were catching up on the bay this past weekend, we were in 2-3 feet of water. And, boy, if we could see, if we could see the fish, outside of the area where we were fishing, or if we could see far enough, you would have seen the fish very easily. But again, like I was saying earlier, is that we just couldn't get close enough to them because sun was out, bright blue sunny day, water was gin clear, and those fish were just staying 40-50 feet away from the boat. We couldn't get much closer to them. And every once in a while, if we were motoring around on the bow mount, I'd see a few tails and a few bodies, swim away, watching them on live scope and stuff like that too. So, go up in that shallow water, cast some baits, whether it be rip and wraps or blade baits or, excuse me. I mean, like I said, I'm a big fan of fish and swim baits this time of the year. Something a little bit softer, maybe a little bit more enticing. If a fish is gonna eat, they'll eat a rip and wrap or lipless or a blade bait. But on that clear water, I think fishing something a little bit more natural, even like a Ned rig, something a little bit smaller and a little bit more enticing for these fish, can definitely be a lot more successful than fishing those big search baits. Like I say, they're tired. And with the warm the water is, I think a lot of these fish just get stressed out. They just want to come and relax and, just give them something easy to eat. Out on Winnebago, you come out of the mouth of the river and you can go both ways. You head towards Boom Bay, or you could head towards Norwegian Bay and fish those same shallow areas that we do ice fishing. And again, just if you got side imaging or 360, drop the bow mount down and just kind of putt around until you see a pot of fish and just start casting to them. It's pretty cool to do. It's pretty fun to watch, especially with the electronics these days. It's neat to see how these fish will and once you get one fired up too, it seems like they all get fired up because for a while there, this past weekend, we'd have, we'd catch one and then it would be like boom, 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 boom. You'd just wail on them, every cast or every other cast, you'd have another fish on, and then the pod would disappear. There wouldn't be any fish around. And then you'd see another pod come in and you'd catch one, and then it would be like a feeding frenzy, boom, 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 boom. And then real quick. So it's fun to do. It's almost as fun as, catching them as watching them, on the screen, how they react to it. It's pretty cool. What else is happening? What have you guys been doing? Where you guys been at? I know I checked with some guys that were ice fishing up in northern Wisconsin yet. I don't know why. When you got everything else that's going on, I guess some guys just don't like to give up ice. But from what I heard today is everything up by Minocqua, Eagle River area, is pretty well done. No more. The shorelines are pretty well gone. The ice is really honeycombed. That warm weather and rain and everything else, got rid of a lot of it. So good chance that as long as it doesn't get too cold, those lakes will be free by opener. I'm sure there'll still be some lakes that'll have some ice chunks floating around. But yeah, it'll be crazy. Been on the river in New London twice with no luck. Jeff, what time? what days were you out on up by New London? But last weekend, New London was the place to be. Or just before last weekend, Thursday, Friday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, New London was absolutely on fire. And then Saturday, they seemed to kind of move a little bit further south, and they've been moving south pretty much every day this week. But I do know there's still quite a few fish up there. Got to go get in those trees and fish shallow. Go up and fish the shallow trees, cast some crankbaits, cast them, even some like beetle spins or, anything like that, does really well when you're fishing those shallow water, spots in the trees. Pelican Lake opened up this weekend. Yeah. We, for a while there, I thought we were going to have ice till middle of May, but that rain and everything else really helped get rid of a lot of ice. So it'll be good. I think a lot of those people up north too are ready to get on the open water, get the boats out and get the long rods out. Let's see, what else do I got for you? I don't think I really have much more. I'm going to finish editing some video. Let me see if I have a picture on my computer I can possibly share with you guys. And let's see here. I don't know if I've never done this before, so we'll try it. You guys will get to see it before I post it. Who's going turkey hunting tomorrow? Who's got their season tomorrow? That's the other thing too. This time of the year is horrible because there's always stuff going on. I'm going to try and go. I watched a few birds tonight. I'm actually going to go put up a blind here tonight when I get off. I watched them go in and roost. So I know where they're going to be at in the morning. Now I just got to, hopefully they come back down and give me a chance. So, let's see here. Oh, I don't have my big one. I don't have the big fish on the computer yet. So you guys have to wait till tomorrow. Jason, good night, man. And yeah, we'll see you guys out on the water for certain. Yeah, I've got my turkey season starts tomorrow. And then I've got third, fourth, fifth season as well. I got extra tags, but last year I didn't get a bird. So this year is going to be the revenge year. We've got 3 really nice toms that are hanging around. We've seen them tonight. And like I said, I know where they roosted. So I'm going to go set up a blind here tonight in the dark and go out in the morning and see if I can't call one in before I got to take Eli to school. So wish me luck on that. I don't know if I have the patience. I'd rather be out fishing right now, I guess. Am I doing the Bago Walleye Club? Let's see. No, I'm not going to end up doing the Bago Walleye Club this year. We just conflicting schedules and a bunch of stuff going on. And I think what I'm going to do is focus my time and energy on the NWT and try and fish that here on Bago when the big boys come to town and jump into that one. So I think I've got the wife convinced. I think she wants me to go do that one as well. And I know if I don't, I'll regret it. So that's kind of I think what I'm going to end up doing. And then on the weekends, with the Bago Walleye Club stuff, I'll just either be guiding or we've got some stuff planned with the kids. So I'm going to take the Bago Walleye Club season off this year. And maybe, if somebody wants to do a couple small tournaments or, if anybody's looking for a partner or wants to do anything else, let me know and, gladly fill in and, even go do something with somebody. But the Bago Walleye Club, I am out this year. Other than that, that's I think that's all I got. I appreciate you guys coming in tonight. Like I said, Jay Siemens will be online that first Tuesday in May. We'll be talking catch and cook, and we'll be talking about where you guys can pick that stuff up, and go from there. I'm going to try and get Jay Shakurit on here too, the other bass stud from up by Wausau. And see if we can get him on to kind of tell his story. That guy's an absolute stick to all these nice young guns that are showing up all the old guys. And be cool to have Jay on and let him chat for a while. His dad's one of the best walleye guys around too, and see if we can't get both of them on together, and I'll work on that. But that's it. I think I'm gonna go get this blind set up and get the gun ready and the cameras ready, and see if we can't go shoot a turkey in the morning. And yeah, Austin, if you need a sub or need something, or anybody needs a sub, let me know. I will. I'll gladly hop in the boat, or guys can, we can jump in my boat. It don't matter to me. But yeah, to commit to the whole season this year, I just wasn't fitting the schedule. So let's see. Good. All right. Well, hey, thanks, guys. I will keep you posted tomorrow on the birds, and watch for some videos here dropping. Like I say, the Angling Buzz video, and I'll have a bunch of photos. Tomorrow is Walleye Wednesday, so I'll be posting some videos and some photos of some big fish we got over the weeks, or the last couple of weeks here, and see that 31 that we got on Saturday. So good luck to everybody if they're going turkey hunting. Good luck fishing, and we'll catch you guys next week. And in the meantime, if you have any questions, feel free, shoot them over. We'll catch you guys later. Have a good night.